Hello, my dear students! Welcome to our virtual class in Practical Research 1. The following are the different most essential learning competencies and specific learning objectives that you have to achieve at the end of the lesson.
Literature review is an important aspect in conducting research. There are lots of materials to choose from in doing your research. You just need to select which are relevant to your study. As a researcher, you need to know the literature related to your topic very well, since it provides background of the research. Let's be familiar first with the meaning of the following words. When we say related, it means connected in some way, in the same family, or belonging to the same group because of shared characteristics, qualities, and others. The word literature refers to writings of a period of a country, specially valued for their excellence of style or form, and all the books or articles on a subject or any printed matter. Therefore, when we say related literature, it is taken from published articles, books, journals, magazines, novels, poetry, and many others which have bearing to the present study. The presentation of related literature is from present to past. According to Calmorin and Calmorin of 2007, an explanation of every related literature is a must. It is considered to be unscientific if the related literature is presented, but no explanation on the relevance to the present study. Now let's have the meaning of the word study. When we say study, it means to observe and investigate closely, to learn, to scrutinize, and to follow a course. Therefore, related studies are studies, inquiries, or investigations already conducted to which the present proposed study is related or has some bearing or similarity. They also refer to findings of published and unpublished researches which are related to the present study and are presented in this section. According to Calderon and Gonzalez of 2015, they are usually unpublished materials such as manuscripts, theses, and dissertations. An explanation of every finding of the related studies is a must to determine its similarities and differences to the present study. They are arranged chronologically from present to past according to Calmorin and Calmorin of 2007. In the second chapter of a research study, which is a review of related literature and studies, it describes precisely what the related literature section does. Its function is to look again or review literatures which are identical with, but collateral to, your own area of study, according to Ariola of 2006. Therefore, the review of related literature and studies emphasizes intentionally to stress what needs stressing. So what is a literature review? A literature review provides an overview of what has been written about a specific topic. Also, it is a paper that includes a description and a critical evaluation of past research. A literature review is focused on a particular question or area of research. It is narrowly focused to concentrate only on truly relevant materials. It is not just a mere list of every item and resource with any possible relation to your topic, no matter how tenuous. It provides or focuses on those resources and materials that are directly relevant to addressing your topic and as such is highly selective, according to Santa Clara University of 2017. It is also a way to look at the past, to assess the body of literature, to synthesize previous work, and to locate the gaps in order to prepare for the future in directing the research process and formulating additional questions, according to Logan University of 2017. According to Calderon and Gonzalez of 2015 in their book Methods of Research and Thesis Writing, the sources of related literature and studies may include the following. Please read this silently. The said sources of related literature and studies can be categorized as primary sources, or secondary sources. When we say primary sources, these are publications in which researchers report the results of their studies. Findings are communicated by the authors directly to the readers. Most materials that fall under this type are journals, which are usually published monthly, quarterly, or biannually. On the other hand, when we say secondary sources, these are publications in which authors describe the work of others. These primary and secondary sources can be classified as local, or those inquiry that was conducted in the Philippines, or foreign and international if they are conducted in foreign lands. There are also some guidelines that researchers need to ponder in crafting their literature review according to Morgan Rallis of 2018. First, you have to identify your variables. This is to determine what are your variables in your research. In short, you should know your topic. What are your variables here? Or simply, what is your topic all about? If you will be labeling it, you will come up with this result. Take a look at these given examples. If your research title is The Lived Experiences of PWD Students Engaged in Community Services in a Rural Area, you can come up with the following variables. Next is use online or library sources. Literature review requires reading. If there is a nearby school or public libraries, you can go there to read their books related to your study. However, if there is none, internet is the best way to do it. It is just one click away. Here are some websites that can help you search for any related literature. The third guideline is analyze the literature. On this part of the literature review, you need to analyze what you have read. It requires you to evaluate the findings of the research, and you just need to identify what the literature has to say on the variable that you have considered. Please take a look at the given example. Lastly, summarize what you have read by highlighting important things. On this part, you need to summarize the literature that you have read. There are many ways of summarizing it. However, you can consider this way of summarizing literature through the use of tables. You may identify the title, the author, the year, the type, the publication, the findings, as well as the conclusion of the literature that you have read. Please take a look at the given example. After reading and reviewing literature, your next task is to organize the literature review. There are three different ways on how you could organize literature. It can be arranged or categorized by variables, by importance, or you could also connect literatures. First is categorized by variables. 10 or more literatures that are comprised of books, journals, theses or dissertations or online publication are hard to organize. In organizing them, you need to stick on the variables that you have considered and they will be basis of searching. On this manner, you can segregate them according to what they are discussing. Let us consider this example. In the title, Lived Experiences of the Grade 11 Working Students During the COVID-19 Pandemic, the following are the different variables. Given all those variables listed, and as a result, you may search on these studies. Please take a look at the given examples. The following is an example on how you could categorize your researches according to variables. The next one is arranging by importance. After categorizing your literatures by variables, you need to arrange them by importance. The question is, how can we arrange them by importance? Though arranging them will be subjected, Because you will decide and choose what literature is more important than others, you need to be guided by the following criteria. First, you have to consider its relevance. On this criterion, you need to answer the question, is this literature directly connected to the present study? In what manner? By means of this, you can have a concrete reason why you considered a certain literature as more important than the others. Next is quality. On this criterion, you need to answer the question, is this literature scientific? Is it peer-reviewed by experts? Well, you can answer it through looking at where it was published. If it came from renowned publishing company, educational institution or established websites, then it is assumed that it is in good quality. Lastly is assumption. On this criterion, you need to answer the question, is this literature affirmative or a negation of my study? If the literature that you search is an affirmation of your study, better place it in the beginning of your literature review. However, if it is a negation, better place it at the last part. And lastly, after arranging the literatures that you have searched, now it is time for you to connect them because these are already categorized and arranged. Literatures that discuss on the same topic and same assumption need to be connected by drawing similarities from each other into the present study. However, the literature stressing an opposite finding should be differentiated with the other literatures. Related literature makes use of previous information and data from statements of experts which are expressed in various sources. These include books, journals, and computer databases which could be used both for qualitative and quantitative researches. Hence, as researchers, you should be familiarized with the different standard styles in review of related literature. What is citation? A citation is a formal reference to a published or unpublished source that you consulted and obtained information from while writing your research paper. The way in which you document your sources depends on the writing style manual your teacher or professor wants you to use for the class. It can be APA, MLA, Chicago styles, and others. The act of citing sources is also your best defense against the allegations of plagiarism, according to Baraceros of 2016. Using citations have different purposes. First, it gives importance and respect to other people for what they know about the field. Also, it gives authority, validity, and credibility to other people's claims, conclusions, and arguments. It is also a way to prove your broad and extensive reading of authentic and relevant materials about your topic. Moreover, it helps the readers find contact the sources of ideas easily, and it also permits readers to check the accuracy of your work as well as to save yourself from plagiarism. Aside from its purposes, the following are the different reasons why citation is important. First, citing other people's words and ideas indicates that you have conducted a thorough review of the literature on your topic, and therefore, you are reporting your research from an informed and critically engaged perspective. This increases your credibility as the author of the work. Next, other researchers' ideas can be used to reinforce your arguments. In many cases, another researcher's argument can act as the primary context from which you can emphasize the significance of your study and to provide supporting evidence about how you addressed the so what question. Third, the ideas of other researchers can be used to explain reasons for alternative approaches. If you agree with researchers' ideas, or you believe there is a gap in understanding the research problem, your citation can serve as sources from which to argue an alternative viewpoint or the need to pursue a different course of action. Fourth, just as the ideas of other researchers can bolster your arguments, they can also detract from your credibility if the research is challenged. Properly citing sources prevents your reputation from being tarnished if the facts or ideas of those cited are proven to be inaccurate or off base. It prevents readers from concluding that you ignored or dismissed the findings of others, even if they are disputed. Fifth, ideas are considered intellectual property, and there can be serious repercussions if you fail to cite where you got an idea from. In the professional world, failure to cite other people's intellectual property ruins careers and reputations and can result in legal action. The following are the three terms used to express your appreciation for or recognition of people's ownership of ideas according to Sharp of 2012, as cited by Puroses of 2016. The first one is the acknowledgement, which can be found at the beginning portion of the work that identifies individuals who have contributed something for the production of the paper. Next is the references or bibliography, which is a complete list of all reading materials including books, journals, periodical and others from where the borrowed ideas came from. And lastly is the citation or in-text citation, which is the reference within the main body of the text, especially in review of related literature. Listed below are the styles for indicating your sources, both in the body of the report or in the reference section at the end of your research paper. These referencing styles are considered the big three or the main schools of style, which are the American Psychological Association or APA, Modern Language Association or MLA, and Chicago Manual of Style. The APA style, or also known as the American Psychological Association, is an author-date-based style. This means that the emphasis is placed on the author and the date of a piece of work to uniquely identify it. Listed below are the examples on how you could use the APA style for in-text citation and bibliography on the different types of material. Please take note of the following when using APA for in-text citation. First, APA style requires authors to use the past tense or present perfect tense when using signal phrases to describe earlier research, just like what is given in the example. Also, you have to follow the author date method of in-text citation, and the author's last name and the year of publication for the source should appear in the text. A complete reference should appear in the reference list at the end of the paper. There are two different methods on how you could use in-text citation for APA. It can be through parenthetical method, just like what is given in this example, and a signal phrase, just like what is given in this example. You also have to take note that if you are referring to an idea from another work, but not directly quoting the material or making reference to an entire book, article, or other work, you only have to make reference to the author and year of publication and not the page number in your in-text reference. Also, please make sure that all sources that are cited in the text must appear in the reference list at the end of the paper. The next school of style is the MLA style or the Modern Language Association, which is most often applied in the arts and humanities, particularly in the USA. Presented below is how you could use the MLA style for bibliography and in-text citation using the different types of material. You can also find this given example in your respective modules or activity sheets. The next school of style is the Chicago Manual style, which is predominantly seen in the humanities among literature students and those who study advanced segments of history and/or the arts. Chicago is a documentation style that has been published by the Chicago University Press since 1906. This citation style incorporates the rules of grammar and punctuation common in American English. Typically, Chicago style presents two basic documentation systems, which is the notes and bibliography and the author date. Choosing between the two often depends on subject matter and the nature of sources cited, as each system is favored by different groups of scholars. In this style, The notes and bibliography style is preferred by many in the humanities, including those in literature, history, and the arts. This style presents bibliographic information in notes and often a bibliography. Presented below is how you could do Chicago manual style for notes and bibliography style using the different types of material. This can also be seen in your respective modules or activity sheets. The author date style has long been used by those in the physical, natural, and social sciences. In this system, sources are briefly cited in the text, usually in parentheses, by author's last name and date of publication. The short citations are amplified in a list of references where full bibliographic information is provided. Presented below is how you could use the Chicago manual style for in-text citation and bibliography using the author date style. There are three different ways on how you could cite related literature. It can be by author or writer, by topic, or by chronology, according to the year the literatures were written, usually from the earliest to the latest. Only the major findings, ideas, generalizations, principles, or conclusions in related materials relevant to the problem should be cited. A material may be quoted if the idea conveyed is so perfectly stated and is too long. Citing authors, websites, and other research materials have its own styles or patterns. The first pattern is summary. The citation in this case is a shortened version of the original text that is expressed in your own language. Making the text short, you have to pick out only the most important ideas or aspects of the text. The next pattern is through paraphrasing. The citation in this case is when you explain what the text means to you using your own words. This is the antithesis of the first one because here, instead of shortening the form of the text, you explain what the text means to you using your own words. In doing so, it is possible that your explanations may decrease or exceed the number of words of the original text, according to Puroses of 2016. There are different strategies in paraphrasing according to University of Texas of 2016. First, read the original text or abstract. Understand it as a whole, then set aside. Next, using your own memory, write down the main points or concepts. And lastly, in your own words, summarize the text or abstract that helps make your point. The next pattern of citation is through short direct quotation. Only a part of the author's sentence, the whole sentence, or several sentences, not exceeding 40 words, is what you can quote or repeat in writing through the citation pattern. Since this makes you copy the exact words of the writer, it is necessary that you give the number of the page where the readers can find the copied words. You may also use the long direct quotation or block quotation or extract. Named in many ways, this citation pattern makes you copy the author's exact words numbering from 40 to 100 words. Under the APA format, the limit is 8 lines. Placed at the center of the page with no indentation, the copied lines look like they compose a stanza of a poem. At the end of the review of related literature and studies, you have to include the literature synthesis. So what is a synthesis? It refers to the bringing together of materials from different sources and the creation of an integrated whole. In the case of your research, the whole is your structured review of relevant works and your coherent argument for the study that you are doing. A synthesis is a discussion that draws on one or more sources. Your ability to infer relationships among sources, such as essays, articles, fiction, and also non-written sources, such as lectures, interviews, and observations, will be helpful in synthesizing information taken from your review of literature. When synthesizing information that you have gathered, it is vital that you select the ideas and information from each source that will make you achieve your purpose. Given here is an example from the literature review, World War II and its effect on women. This excerpt synthesizes information without summarizing. Please read it silently.
That's all about our lesson for this week in Practical Research 1. Thank you for watching and see you again next week.